Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Mitchell, and I'm the CEO and founder of Black Women in Clinical Research. Today, we have a Lunch and Learn with Ro, and I'm going to let Crystal introduce herself and take it away.
Hi, is my screen sharing?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay, good. Thank you. Um, Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this morning. I think it's morning for everybody. Yes. Thank you so much for joining this morning. I have to tell y'all, first of all, I have to give so much props to Danielle, who has just, it just amazes me what she has accomplished in the last couple of short years here with Black Women of Clinical Research. I have so much respect for you, Danielle, and I'm just so proud and so excited and honored to be part of just a sponsor, and represent Ro with you. What you do is fantastic, and the resources you have for everybody is amazing to me. So anything I can always do to help, please feel free to call on me. I've been doing this a long time, longer than I care to admit, and so if I can offer anything, I'm always happy to do so. So thank you. Okay. Well, thanks everybody, and welcome from all over the country. I hope it's not too early for West Coast, but I appreciate you joining me on maybe your lunch break or your breakfast break. I'd love to talk about Ro. Again, my name is Crystal McKee. I have been with Ro for, I just hit 2 years here in February. I've been in the industry, again, too long that I care to admit, but no. I've been recruiting in the CRO industry for about 13, 14 years now. I started with a larger CRO. I spent many years at a mid-sized CRO, and most recently I joined Ro. And it's a great organization to work for. Anytime I can take some time to brag about it, I will. And this is, as you all know, what we do in this industry. And I personally don't do it. It's what you all do in this industry, in the just in the pursuit of saving lives and making life better for people across the globe is so important and so critical. And I'm happy to just be a small part of it, and to, provide opportunities for people to be able to do that, whether you're trying to get your foot into the door, or you're halfway through your career, or you're at a point where you're at the top of your game, and you just want to contribute and make an impact. So again, it's an honor for me to be just even a small part of it. Okay, so Ro, honestly, I didn't make this up. We really are changing what it means to work for a CRO. And it's not that we're changing it. It's always been the case at Ro. But I think we're finally getting our name out there across the country and across the world. We've always been very RTP centric in North Carolina. And of course, when the pandemic happened, that's really evolved to hiring globally. And so it's great to get our name out there and really share what we have and why we're different. So what I'd like to do is talk about who we are and what we do, and our values. I'd like to talk about what opportunities we have for people, and how you can get involved, number two. And number three, I want to, after questions about Ro, I want to take some time and just give some helpful hints. I'm a trainer at heart, so I like to talk about some tidbits about your job search. Maybe give you some pointers into your career, and in case you are looking for that. And again, if you get one little tidbit of good advice, then it's worth it, right? Okay, so there we go. So who are we? Ro is a privately held CRO. Why is that important? It's important because we don't have any outside investors. We are literally, legitimately, privately owned. And what that means is we don't have any outside investors with an ulterior motive of, like, let's hit that bottom line, let's make some money. We really are all about quality of work and integrity and doing the right thing. It gives us the opportunity as well. Not that other CROs are not, believe me. It's just that, again, we don't have that stress of, outside investors pushing us to hit the bottom line, if that makes sense. But also it really allows us to be more agile with, how do we reinvest in our organization to make it better? How do we reinvest into our people? How do we reinvest into our systems to make life easier for people, to make life, to get the data better, to understand the information more timely? It allows us as a smaller CRO to be more competitive in the market, and in the job market when we're hiring people as well. But being a privately held CRO has been a game changer for me. In addition to all of those things, it allows us to keep the culture that we've had, when we had 10 employees, 50 employees, 100 employees, and now when we get to the second bullet, 600 employees globally. We've been in business for 38 years, and again, that culture has remained the same. It's very family oriented. We put our people first. We hire great people. We do great work, and we have a lot of stability here. Again, for a small CRO, we've 38 years in the making. We actually started more in the biometrics arena. Two professors from UNC started Row in the, as a lot of CROs did, in the basement of their home. They were doing some statistical consulting work. And, 38 years later, we are a thriving global CRO, which is very cool. It's a very cool story. We are still owned by the same family that started Row, although it's been passed down. Our CEO is a female. Her name is Laura Helms Reese, and she is a brilliant businesswoman, PhD in biostatistics. Went out into the world, gained a lot of experience and brought back a lot of expertise to Row. And again, worked her way up here at Row, and now is our CEO. So it's a great story. It's a great organization, and oh my gosh, I love it. And I do love working for a female CEO, by the way. She's wonderful. It's a first for me. Okay, so living, I think what makes us different is, we really do live by a long-standing core of principles. And I do want to talk about this because I think it's really important to say, yes, we do this, but it's equally even more important actually to live it every day, and every decision we make has these core values in the back of our minds. When you talk about integrity and having a high moral code, and that obviously pushes the way in the whole CRO industry, how we conduct scientific research in our business. We're honest. We take responsibility for our actions. We forgive the honest mistakes everybody makes. We treat each other as we want to be treated, and that's integrity. Quality, obviously quality has always been Row's passion, as with every CRO. And by caring, we create quality. Our most important are great people. Our great people are the root of everything here. We hire smart, talented, positive people who have sound judgment, who have a can-do attitude, and just, we hire people who have a passion to be collaborative. We have an extremely collaborative and respectful work environment, and we do everything to hire people that work with that and not against that. That type of person that we hire is more important to us than the skill set. We want to hire the right people. Critical and creative thinking, I think that speaks for itself. Innovation, obviously, that's creativity in action, right? But innovation brings new services to our customer. This core value allows us to try new things and gives us the freedom to try new things. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes we have to back up the bus and go down a different way, but there's forgiveness in that. And there's, hey, you know what, we tried it, it didn't work, that's okay. But it gave us an idea to do something else, or it gave us an idea to go down this route. Agility and adaptability, obviously change is not without risk, right? So we embrace that, and when we adapt to it. Stability, not only organizational stability is critical to us, but our workforce stability. And that's really what I've been talking about, is our people. We have created a very stable organization by maintaining a very stable workforce here. People stay here, people love it here, people have grown their careers here from an intern to a senior director. And that is, very much what keeps us going. On the other hand, we're always looking for new talent, because we know what we have here, but we also need fresh talent to come in and bring new ideas to keep that stability. And then lastly, I think you'll notice that profitability is our very last core value. Of course, we're a business, right? So we need to be financially successful. In the last 38 years, though, we have implemented all the other core values, which has created profitability for us. So we've been very lucky in that way. What can you expect when you work at Rowe? First of all, like I mentioned before, and I'd really like to just implement this into all of my thoughts here in today's session. We were founded by educators. So I think that's why we have a very different focus, and we think of our workforce very differently. I just realized I spelled stable wrong. But we have a tendency, we put our people first, and we really want those growth opportunities. That professional development is so important to us, because again, it was already part of our mindset. That's how our founders grew in their lives, and that's how they grow their people. So in that, industry training, job training, those are really critical to us in part of everything that we do. So you'll get that when you get here at Rowe. Growth opportunities in a stable environment. Again, growth opportunities, we have 3 promotion cycles a year. If you're performing at a senior level, we have no problem promoting you to a senior position. And that's really key here. Respect for your expertise, and a team that really wants to collaborate. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you, and again, I can't tell you how different Rowe is in regards to how people just treat each other. And yes, we work really hard, and yes, we have differences, and yes, we may disagree, but we have those conversations with respect. And we have all of those conversations with positive intent. And you walk away from those sometimes frustrated because someone doesn't agree with what you're saying, right? But of course, you walk away with at least with an understanding of the other person's point of view, and they walk away with respect for yours. On-time feedback and mentorship. Again, this is really important to our founders and our leadership. We can't grow and develop without that on-time feedback and without that coaching. So again, something that's really important to us. Fairness, I think that speaks for itself. And that goes along with the respect. Rewards and recognition for a job well done. We have several reward processes in place. We have peer-to-peer awards, we have manager recognition, and those are things that we celebrate, not only just within our groups or within our teams, but we celebrate those organizationally wide. We even have it on SharePoint when people recognize each other, and it's pretty amazing to read them and read why people are being recognized, realize the accomplishments that they have done or how they went above and beyond. And again, this is from an intern all the way up to, you know, our executive leadership. And again, encouragement to do the right thing and assume positive intent. There's no judgment here. If you did, if you know, if you made a mistake, we're going to assume you did it with positive intent, and we're going to work to fix it, and we're going to move on and you know, and learn from it. So again, it's just a very different mindset than you know, what I may have experienced in, you know, my 25 years of having a career. So, but again, I've just never worked somewhere where people are just fair and respectful here as I have at Rowe. Where do we have career opportunities? So first of all, I want to break down Rowe a little bit and talk about what it is that we do. We are a full service CRO. We do a lot of work in neurology, you know, and that obviously includes all of neuroscience and psych and CNS. We do a lot of analgesia, respiratory, ophthalmology, oncology, dermatology. So we do a lot of wonderful things. We actually are just getting into oncology. Obviously, as many of you may know, you know, we do a lot of rare disease work, and that's always the first step into oncology, right? So we're really starting to branch out and hire folks as oncology experts here, so we can start, you know, working towards gaining some oncology business, which we're really excited about. We're really excited to make an impact there. We have positions from, you know, entry level all the way to director and above, and that's on a global scale. We've, like I had mentioned before, we've always been US centric, and actually more to, you know, in Durham, North Carolina than anywhere. However, about a year and a half ago, we acquired a small CRO in Europe called Documeds, now Rowe Europe. And we acquired that particular company because they really shared the same core values and principles that we did. And so we felt it was a really great fit. So now we are a global company. And I just want to digress just a minute and talk about why we did that. And it may be different from what you might have heard from, you know, other folks, where if you may hear that they've acquired a company or they've expanded into a new area or a new location. If you talk to our CEO and you say, why did we go global? She's going to, you know, first say, well, in an effort to go back to our core value of stability and our workforce stability, we like to keep people. We like to keep good people, and good people, if they hit a ceiling, right, they're going to go somewhere else so they can really expand their horizons. And what we realized we weren't doing was we weren't giving people the opportunity to work on global studies. We weren't giving people the opportunity to branch out into, you know, and learn other ways of doing things in that regard. And so that was really important to us, is to expand globally, to give our workforce, those that work really hard for us and who want to expand their expertise, to give them the opportunity to work globally. And also, certainly it gives us the opportunity to provide global service for our clients and to, you know, get patient, you know, work on clinical trials globally and work with global patients. But it really did come back to our people and how important our people are to us here at Rowe. For those of you who may be, you know, coming in, maybe new graduates, maybe you're study coordinators, maybe you're looking to really break into this wonderful industry. It's hard, right? It's not easy. I get it. I think that if you ask anybody, well, how did you get into that industry? It was either, oh, I fell into it, or, oh, I knew somebody. So, um, but if you're actually sitting here trying to get into it, it's very difficult. And I really can appreciate that. We have a couple of different options. We have what we call a research associate, where someone maybe has worked in a lab for a year, or maybe done a couple internships, or maybe just worked as a study coordinator for 6 months or a year or something like that. A research associate is a great way to come in and work within our project management group and learn the industry a bit. We have a lot of folks that come in as research associates, and that's our building block here at Rowe. We purposefully hire these research associates at that level so we can come in and get some wonderful entry-level folks and grow them in this industry. You do need to have a degree, because obviously our expectation is we hire you so you can grow into positions that will require a degree eventually, right? But that's a wonderful way. Study coordinators, definitely. We have a couple of different options. We hire in-house CRAs as study coordinators, and they could be across the US. Our study coordinators, or our in-house CRAs, it's obviously that building block to become, to our CRA1 program and move up the ladder there. Also, our in-house CRAs, can move into site startup or regulatory affairs as well, because you do have that background. I'm going to talk about another option for study coordinators in just a minute. Now, going into our full service CRO for non-entry level positions, obviously we hire CRAs with 2 or more years of experience. Our CRAs are very happy here, typically, knock on wood. I always say that. It's just something I do as a recruiter. But our CRAs typically stick around here. They work hard, they play hard, they travel, all of those things. But there's definite growth opportunities with CRAs here. And listen, you're never gonna hear me say a CRA's job is easy. It is a tough job. It is challenging, and you get the respect and the recognition that you deserve here at Rowe. Clinical team leads, project managers. We don't often hire people and promote them. We don't, for example, I probably wouldn't hire a senior CRA and promote and bring them in as a CTL1, a clinical team lead 1. And I say that because that's tough for us, because we value our current workforce so much that we wouldn't make that decision to hire an external person and promote them over an internal person to promote. We would promote someone from within if that were the case. So, I always want to be very transparent with people looking into Rowe as a potential employer. Is I understand how much you want to grow your career, and we all do. However, we're going to make sure that our workforce has those opportunities for growth. Anyway, going down to our next vertical line of business, which is our federal research group. We have a whole business unit here for federal research. We do a lot of clinical trials, mechanistic studies. We do observational trials. We do a lot of work with the NIH, BARDA, ASPR. So it's pretty amazing what we can do and what we've done with federal research. A lot of what we do is very similar to the full service. We hire biometrics. We hire actually more biometrics than normal. We hire data management. We hire, we have project managers, CRAs, CTLs, all of those things within our federal research group, but it is a little bit different. But going back to when I said I'm going to talk about study coordinator career opportunities, a lot of times we'll hire study coordinators in federal research as associate project managers. So it's definitely another option for study coordinators to get into to get their get into our industry is with our federal research program. So if you're a coordinator and you're looking at our website and you see an associate project manager for federal research, definitely that's something to consider applying for. Overall, as an organization, functional areas of interest, obviously we have clinical operations and project management. Our foundation was, like I mentioned in the beginning, biometrics. So we have a great reputation for biometrics and data management. And we certainly hire again for biometrics and data management, entry level all the way up, regulatory affairs. And we have corporate administrative support. I bring that up because I know this is clinical research and you're all clinical research folks. But again, if you're entry level and you're looking to break into the industry, we do often cross-train, and we do often bring on administrative folks or even a receptionist or something like that, and then move them into our research associate position after a year. Actually, we just moved 2 of our administrative assistants in the last 2 months over to being research associates, and we hired administrative staff to replace them. So again, I put this on here not because you might be interested in that, but again, it's just another way to break into the industry and a different way than what you might see for other organizations. I talked about all of this, just a minute ago. And again, at the bottom, you'll see we have the opportunity for cross-training. I just had someone who I worked with her at a previous CRO. I hired her as a senior CRA at a previous CRO. She was, she worked her way up to a CTL there. We hired her as a CTL here, and now she's moved over to regulatory affairs. Roe has such a value for people who know Roe and who understand Roe is many times, even if you don't have the particular experience, we will definitely have conversations with you and talk to you about your career goals. And if you want to move into other areas of interest, we'll support that as much as we possibly can. And a lot of times it happens. We've moved a lot of folks from operations to quality assurance, and so on and so forth. That's, again, something that's really a priority for us. So again, it's just things that are I think our doors are maybe just a little more open, right? But there is, if you look here, there's something for every skill set. I'd like to open the room for any questions that you might have about Roe. And then what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about just maybe your job search and maybe some helpful hints about your resume, interviewing skills and things like that. But I do want to say Roe has been a wonderful organization for me to work at. It's hard to fake it when it really is hard to fake it as a recruiter. So I really have enjoyed it so much. And I really love calling it home. And I think you all will too. Any questions? And, feel free to put it in the chat, or I don't know if I can see the chat, but feel free to put it in the chat, or, unmute yourselves. I would love to hear from you.
Yes, and I can, and thank you so much, Kristen. I can help with
Great, thank you.
The questions in the chat. Okay, Lorenza, you have your hand up. Please go ahead.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
I can, yes.
So I know you talked a lot about growing opportunities at Roe, and especially entry level. But
Yep.
What about if you are just above, or a little bit further past entry level, but you're not quite midpoint yet? You're in that sweet spot in between. Are there still opportunities for people like us?
Oh gosh, of course. Yes. And I think again, it depends on what your career goals are. But if you're at that sweet spot, there's always opportunities for sure. Sorry if I didn't catch your group, but yes.
Okay, and then I do have one more other question.
Sure.
So I was looking at the slide where you had the 3 kind of areas of careers at Roe. I kind of fit into all three. I have experience and interest in all three, but I'm not sure, if I applied to a position or area, would it be best to talk with you a little bit more about my specific background, and then maybe we could figure out, where, I should apply or.
Yeah, that's a great question as well. And I think a lot of people can say like, oh, I fit into more than one thing. And so there's a couple of things I would say is yes, um, let's have a conversation, number one. Number two, I have a very small recruiting team. We have 600 employees. And in the US, I have 2 recruiters. So the good thing about that is there's it's hard for things to fall through the cracks when it comes to sharing candidates when there's 3 of us, right? So I would recommend also applying for more than one role if you feel that you're interested in it and it fits into your career goals, and it's again, all of those things, right? So I would recommend applying to more than one position, number one. But number two, like I mentioned before, a lot of times, especially in this industry, it's about who you know and who you build connections with. So that conversation as well. Lorenza,
Yeah.
am I saying it right? That part of it, Lorenza, is also really critical to have that conversation with people and to make sure that you're getting in front of people, because again, that's so much more than just an application.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we have some questions in the chat. Let me scroll up. So someone is asking, are career opportunities on site only?
No, and that's a great question. And that and I think that used to be the case for Row. Is that we really wanted everybody to be on site at our Durham office. And our Durham office is gorgeous, by the way. I could see why. Then the pandemic happened, and everybody started working from home. And the realization is we can still do our jobs and we can still collaborate and cultivate relationships and work together really well. We don't have to sit next to someone to be able to do that. And so most of our positions are remote nowadays. Obviously, if you're an administrative assistant or a receptionist or something, that's a very different thing, that we would want that to be in office. But for the most part, most positions are remote. So that's a great question and something that has changed. If not, I wouldn't be at Row. I'm a Philly girl, so go Eagles. But I wouldn't be with Row if that were the case.
So you know where the cheesesteaks are.
The cheesesteaks, I
Yes,
sure do. I sure do. And they're not at Pat's or Gino's. They're
right.
not at Pat's or Gino's. You gotta
everyone says that they said do not go there. So and just a reminder to everyone, just so that we can get through all of the questions, please ask one question. And if you have something that is like specific to you, please feel free to reach out to Crystal so that she can answer your questions. We want to kind of answer questions that will, like, maybe everyone is kind of thinking of. Like, for example, we have a question in the comment: what is the interview process like?
Oh, that's a great question. So the interview process here is obviously, you would connect with the recruiter first, whether it's, from LinkedIn or through the application process. And then we would go ahead and do a telephone screen. And I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes, but that resume is really a very critical part of everything. And I say that because, especially for some of these entry-level positions, we get hundreds of resumes, right? So you really want to make sure that that resume stands out and that somehow you do connect with a recruiter. What we do then is, because at that point, after 100, we'll probably talk to five or 10 people, versus, those several hundred people that may have applied. So I really want to make sure that I'm really honing in on that. From that, we would take probably, maybe the four most qualified folks and the ones that really made an impact on us and impressed us the most, based on their skill set, their interviewing skills, their communication skills, their ability to be collaborative, all of those things that we'll talk to you about during the phone screen. We'll move on to video WebEx interviews, typically with the hiring managers. Usually it's, you're talking to 2 or 3 additional folks from the line, from the hiring management team or from the operational team. From there, we take the best candidate and we move forward with an offer. So does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And
Good
so
question.
I believe Jasmine had her hand raised. Let me see if she's still.
I did. I had considered your comment, but I just wanted to ask real quickly, as a PM wanting to transition into the CRA role, I know that you spoke about having experience. Are there opportunities available for training, or is it just expected to still have those 2 years of experience coming from a PM role?
That's a great question. So CRAs are tough, right? Because we do require that 2 years of experience. However, we do have a CRA1 program that someone can come in and learn the training along with, coordinators and things like that, Jasmine. So what I would say is I think that's not a typical career path for someone, is to, at a PM level to want to move to a CRA level, although I very much appreciate and understand why that might be the case, or why you might be interested. And I think that's great. I think that that would probably be a one-off, and we would have to look at all of your experience as a whole before making that decision. And again, maybe you and I can take that offline.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Crystal.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Thank you.
So Crystal, are there PM, like a PM academy, or do you guys have any type of programs like academies?
So many of our research associates move into what they call associate project managers. So like I said, our research associate is really our entry level position, and many other CROs maybe call them project associates or project specialists, where they do a lot of PM, project management, administrative work. So that's a career ladder for a research associate. You start as a research associate and then move into a PM, an associate PM role, and then PM1 and then PM2, senior PM, and go from there. So again, it all starts from some of those entry level positions. I wouldn't hire, to my point, before, I wouldn't hire someone on the outside and bring them in as a PM1 with no PM experience when we have people probably most likely ready to be promoted internally. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And so also I know we mentioned college students. So what opportunities are available for college students?
So we are ramping up, hopefully soon, within our federal team, a research associate hiring spree, if you will, where we're going to take maybe 3 to 5 college grads and hire them as research associates. And again, we're actually meeting, I think, the 6th of March to really ramp up that process and get going with it. But it's just, again, we may not have the needs, but it's an investment on our part to start hiring folks so that we can start growing them, and training them into, be CRAs and in-house CRAs and project managers and all of those wonderful things that they can do here at Rowe. So when you see research associate on our website, that would be something for a college graduate or an upcoming college graduate to apply for.
Okay. Let's see. So someone is asking, are there remote opportunities available for entry-level positions?
Research associates, yes, but we do We do like for them to be in Raleigh, but they still would work the majority from home. In-house CRAs, for example, you know, if you want to, like if you're a study coordinator and want to be an in-house CRA, or if you're a study coordinator and apply to an associate project manager position in federal research, those are remote. Then they could be anywhere in the US.
Okay, so someone asks, what are your top 3 therapeutic areas right now in your pipeline and potential timeline for addition? Well, I know you said oncology, but the oncology expansion. And she said, go Eagles. She's also a Philly girl too.
Woo! I love the Eagles. It was heartbreaking last week when we lost. So neurology is really probably, I would say, the biggest one. Neurology, CNS, psychiatry. We have a lot of those types of studies in the pipeline right now, and that's our biggest need. Oncology is a need for us because we're building that function and we don't have the expertise for it. We have a lot of neurology folks, right? We don't have the oncology folks, but we do have work to be done in other therapeutics. And if you can do oncology, you can basically do anything. So we love the oncology experience. We can have you come in and work on other therapeutic areas until we, you know, until we build up oncology. That's no problem. So I would say neurology and oncology.
Okay, let's see. And for people who have like specific questions that is like specific to your background, please feel free to send Crystal a message. We want to get through more of the questions of interview process and, you know, what's work-life balance. So those are the type of questions that I would like Crystal to address. But if you have something specific to, okay, I want to try and get into this role with this background, like, feel free to send Crystal a message and she will help you. Okay.
Absolutely. And feel free to send your CV along with that. So if you say I have this background, sometimes I still can, it helps me with the context to actually see your specific background. So if you wouldn't mind sharing either a link to your LinkedIn profile or your CV, again, I know you're not applying anything, you're just asking a question, but again, it helps me with the context.
Okay. And so they said, should we send via email or reach out on LinkedIn? I have provided
Either way.
Crystal's information on LinkedIn. I think they might want, you want me to put your email address in there too, or do you prefer LinkedIn, Crystal?
Either way, or is my screen sharing that you're seeing my email address?
Oh yeah, they see it there. It's right there.
Okay.
It is sharing.
Okay. Yep.
So yes, her contact information is on the screen. I was so busy answering questions. I had it covering it.
I was like, oh no, have they been looking at my mug this whole time and not my PowerPoint?
Okay, this is a good question. And then I'll go to the person that just raised their hand. What type of benefits does Roe provide?
Oh, good question. So we have very competitive benefits compared to the rest of the industry. For example, we have, you know, medical, vision and dental. Our medicals through Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is great, right? Their network is huge. And we have 2 different plans that you can choose from. 401k, you know, we match 100% of the first 4% that you contribute. So, you know, that's very competitive. We have 15 days of PTO to start plus 4 personal days. So that's 19 days plus 11 holidays. So it's 30 days off throughout the year. And that includes we're closed between Christmas and New Year's, which is a blessing to me. You know, we have obviously, you know, a lot of other health insurance. We have an EAP, an employee assistance program, which is free for everybody. And I know people who have taken advantage of that. And we're just, Roe is a company that just support, like if we all have lives outside of work. And I always want to be very upfront and transparent. Roe is just so supportive and just so understanding that, you know, we have things going on outside of work. I don't think I've ever felt so supported about. I also don't think I had, you know, so many life, you know, events happen since I joined Roe 2 years ago, and I just never felt more supported. So again, that EAP program is just one of the things that really, you know, shows that, you know, we're supported and you know, our well-being is upfront a priority.
I have a question right before we get to Jeanette. So I've heard this before, especially in the industry, that you
Mhm.
can negotiate, things outside of your salary. Is that, is that a possibility with Roe? Can, say for example, could you say, okay, I want to work remote for 3 days a week, or are there other things besides salary that you can negotiate with Roe when you receive an offer?
So yes and no. I am the first to say, and I know you're recording this, so I really have to be careful now.
I'll stop recording. Hold on.
An interviewee may start like answering the questions, but then they digress and they go on and on and on. And then 10 minutes later, they finish and they never actually answered the question. They're asking you that question for a reason. Give the answer, maybe give an example of what, if they ask you, how do you problem solve? Be concise of how you problem solve, but maybe give them a short answer, like a short example of what that means. Showcase your value. They're hiring you for your value. How are you going to value, employers hire people because they show value. They don't hire people, out of the goodness of their hearts, right? They're a business. They need to be, successful. So understand that that's what they're looking for. They're looking for your value and what you can do for them. You're also interviewing them and say what they could do for you, right? But at the end of the day, show your value, because that's what's going to make the difference between you and someone else who's not showing their value. And on the other hand, show your human side. Not only do they want to see that your value, but they want to see what it's like to work with you every day. They want to see your personality, and they're going to remember you on your personality, based on your personality. Don't go in there with like joke, 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 but also go in and just be human, right? And smile and make eye contact and crack one joke about yourself or something silly, that's fine. Don't go overboard, but again, show them that you're human and show them that they can work next to you for the next 5 years. Be ready to talk about problems and solutions. Again, that's what's interesting. We want to see how you can work independently. We want to see, problems arise every day in our jobs. We all know that problems arise every day in our lives, and it's really how we overcome them and how we solve those problems is what makes us different. So make sure that you're ready to talk about, how you've solved issues in the past. Really think about those things and be ready and be prepared for that. Be ready to also talk about long-term career goals and that are timely and realistic. I think a turnoff for hiring managers is we're in the business to help people grow, but we're also not going to, we also are saying, don't expect to be a manager in 6 months, right? Like, again, is that really timely and realistic? I mean, maybe depending on your experience, but maybe not. That may not fit in with our goals. So don't assume that we're going to have a line manager position in the next 6 months. If you say that and we're thinking, well, we're not going to have a line manager position in the next 6 months. This person's going to want to grow. And when they don't grow in the next 6 months, they're going to be out the door. So talk about your long-term career goals. Long-term, I want to work in, I want to, be a manager. I want to be able to lead people. I want to be able to make a difference. And I love training and all of those things. But make sure you're not saying, I'm coming in so I can work my way up to management, right? You want to do that, but you want to also be realistic about what that time frame is, right? We all kind of have to, I certainly did, we all have to kind of do our time there. But again, everybody has respect and appreciates, we all have those goals, but we don't want to rush it in an interview. And then, remember, you're interviewing them too. Ask questions, make sure it's the right fit for you. And I always tell people, when I make an offer to somebody and they say, well, I have 2 other offers on the table, so I have to think about it. I always tell people, again, I'm human before I'm a recruiter. I always say, go with your gut. Go with your gut. If it's not us, then maybe we weren't the right fit for you, and that's okay. We're not the right fit for everybody, but just go with your gut. And you have to trust your gut. And when I'm talking about those asking questions, I just always want to remember to, understand the difference between operational questions and human resources questions, right? Salary and benefits and all of those things, those are more HR related questions that you want to talk with your recruiter about. Operational questions and on the job training or on the job questions are questions that you want to talk with your hiring manager about. And a lot of times people get hung up on sometimes benefits and salary and things like that, and they start talking to the line manager about that, and the line manager isn't able to really go through the interview and get the information they need because someone might be asking the questions to the wrong person. So always remember who your audience is and if you're asking the right questions to the right people. I'm happy to do like a webinar to go into these a little bit more in detail. If that's something of interest to everybody, Danielle, just let me know, because again, I used to do job search workshops. So like, these are things that I used to talk about all the time, but, and this is my favorite part of it, but, I'm happy to do that. I know we're over time.
Yeah, that definitely works. Excellent.
So I don't know how to stop sharing now. How do I stop sharing? I don't know how to stop sharing. Oh, here we go. There we go.
Okay.
Did I stop sharing?
Yes. So thank you so much, Crystal, for all of the information that you have provided and the gems. I know I have told my members, when you started saying some of the different things, I was like, yep, we talked about that. Like if you're not getting an interview, then you need to look back at your resume. If you're not getting hired or getting a job offer, then you need to look at your interview prep skills. And Andrika Thomas, that's here, is one of our career consultants. I call her the interview prep queen.
Yep.
She has helped so many people, helped even myself with thinking about the interview process differently and thinking about it as an opportunity to share your journey and who you are as a person, instead of thinking of it as a test and getting nervous. Because a lot of times, and I've had this before in the past, I got so nervous that I blew my chance with, getting the job, because they even said, they were like, I can tell you're nervous. And, when you're interviewing, people can pick up if you're nervous or just, how you're responding to the question. So I completely agree. And I know we appreciate all of the knowledge that you have shared.
Yeah, thank you. And I have to say, we all get nervous going into interviews. It shouldn't be a test, and hiring managers shouldn't be talking to you as if it's a test. Hiring managers, although they're trying to get a lot of information from you, to see if you have the value, and to get to know you and get to know your human side and your journey, as you said, they should be having a conversation with you and not, kind of grilling you. So I think, that's always a tough one.
Yeah, we can definitely, do another webinar, and just for the members that are here, just with what Crystal said. So if you're not getting an interview, go to Black Women in Clinical Research and schedule your resume review. And if you're not getting hired, go to blackwomeninClinicalResearch.com, like BWICR.com, and schedule your interview prep, because you never know what might be holding you back from getting hired. And it's okay to, reflect on your skills and to improve. And, always too, I always say this to the members as well, Crystal, that when you're having interviews, if you're rejected for a role, to ask ask the recruiter, get some feedback so that you can improve. I know I had it with one member. She received feedback and she didn't agree with the feedback. I'm like, well, they're telling you to help you, so that you can improve. So I know it might be hard to hear a lot of times when you hear this feedback, because in your mind, you're like, that's not me. I didn't do that. But that's how you might be coming across to other people, and just maybe not aware, that these might be some of the things that you do when you're interviewing. So it's all helpful information to help you grow, always looking for the positive. And, even if you get bad, even if you feel like it's bad feedback, using that and turn it around so that it can be positive and so that you can improve on your skills.
Yeah. I mean, I've cried. I've literally cried with feedback I've received about myself
Yes,
before. So, I mean, truly, yeah. So I hear you. I hear
yeah,
you. But
I have
you,
before.
yeah,
When I didn't get a role,
I'm not gonna be shamed over it. Yeah.
yeah, when I
But
didn't get a role, and I was like, I really wanted this position. I'm like,
I know, I know. But you all are valuable. Like you have value to give. So I mean, that's what's most important is to showcase your human side, to showcase what it's like to work with you every day, and to showcase how you can add value to them. And you can do that. You have that.
yes, you have the power. So please, if you haven't, everyone, drop your LinkedIn URL information. It's always good to network with people that are in the room. So I'm always encouraging, networking. If there's someone in the room that asks a question that you want to connect with, please drop your information in the link. I will, put Crystal's LinkedIn information again here, just so that everyone has it. But yes, I really enjoyed the presentation, and thank you so much. It's so interesting with different companies on what their entry level roles are. Every company has a different, it seems like has a different title for it. So
Yeah.
I hope everyone knows now what the entry level positions are. I'm gonna give y'all a test back in the group. I'm gonna ask y'all, what is the entry level position at Rose? So thank you again, Crystal. Yes, let's do this again. We can dive into whatever topic that you're interested in. And so thank you so much. I'll leave the chat up just so that people can connect with everyone.
Great.
So thank you,
Thank you,
Crystal.
everybody. It was really such a pleasure. Thank you, Danielle. It's so great to work with you.
Thank you, Crystal. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.